You'll see that strategic doing is really a disciplined process for value creation. We're not building a traditional organization. What we're building is a series of focused networks. So the idea of an organization chart, the old organization chart with people kind of reporting upward in very strict regimen, is too limiting for what we're trying to do. It's about three flows of money. It's good money, neutral money, and bad money. Good money comes into our region from companies that trade outside. We're building clusters to facilitate that. Neutral money circulates in our region. Bad money leaks out of our region. And our job collectively is to increase the volume of good money, increase the velocity of neutral money, and reduce the flow of bad money. That's how we build wealth. Our job now is to connect the assets from our grandfather's economy to the opportunities of our grandchildren's economy. So what does that mean? That means connecting our colleges and universities. It means connecting our research labs with our business clusters. It means connecting our libraries to our high schools, all of those kinds of things. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of connections that can be made even within small economies. The big picture is we've got a pool of assets here. And if we can design new networks around them, purposely design these new networks, we can accelerate innovation, which improves productivity and leads to prosperity and wealth. What we're working for is an innovating network. We want folks to come together and work on shared outcomes. We want them to co-create value. So how do we get there? And the answer is, you get there progressively over time. It's very important as we start out on this journey to have in your mind one of the old, very reliable approaches to explaining innovation, which is the product life cycle. How does an innovation move through a market? Have this in your mind because you're introducing an innovation. When you start talking about regional clusters or regional networks, you're introducing an innovation. The market is the pragmatists, the volunteers, the people you're trying to energize. And every minute that you spend with the naysayers, you're really driving away the pragmatists. They say, well, we don't want to be involved with that anymore. So we're trying to make sure that you understand you're trying to motivate your networks. Opportunities emerge when we connect our assets, not when we just list them. Listing is just the first step. The question is, how do we connect them? What new opportunities emerge when we connect them? And when we go through that kind of brainstorming, then we start to realize, wow, we could do this, right? We could create that new value for both, shared value, co-create value. What we are doing is designing new networks for our civic economy. Now, our civic economy supports our market economy. Our civic economy represents investments that are publicly valuable, that are not privately profitable. So our civic economy includes government, education, nonprofits, a whole variety of different actors who are involved in our civic economy. Notice we're not talking about public and private. That's too simple a term, framing of this issue. And in fact, it's too ideological and it's too confrontational. The work that we do at our research universities is really helping companies push out the boundaries, develop new products, new processes, new markets, push out the boundary of our market economy. So it's this collaboration right on the boundary that matters. And regions that figure this out is where are the regions that are going to grow. Part of the opportunity with strategic doing is let's focus on some big questions. Big issues, big opportunities. Strategy is very easy. I said, really, why? He said, strategy is where are you going, how are you going to get there? That's strategy. With strategic doing is actually break these two questions into four. So we deployed some insights from appreciative inquiry in cognitive science that says people move in the direction of their conversations. If we want people to move in a direction, let's guide their conversations. So we started thinking about this. Okay, let's guide our conversations. So what are the conversations we need to guide? And there are four questions, really. What could we do with the assets we have? Of all the things we could do, let's make a strategic choice. What should we do? What's the 1, 2, or 3 things we should do? Because we can't do everything. Then, what will we do? Which breaks us of the habit of saying, I've got great ideas for Stuart to do. Because that's not building a network at all. That's reinforcing a hierarchy. And then, what's your 30-30? What's your 30-30 is your accountability to each other. What have you done the last 30 days? What are you planning to do the next 30 days? What we're doing is we're taking these 4 questions and answering the 2 critical questions of strategy. Where are we going and how will we get there? What we're building is the agility or resilience in the community to think strategically. To think strategically and to work strategically. So how do we do that? This is a graphic that essentially shows coming together, devising a strategy, not over months and months and months, but designing a strategy in a matter of hours that helps you. And this SRI has given you a huge boost up to give you a framework for a strategic action plan. So the strategy now becomes much like software development. Version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Here's what is going to happen, I would say, in your case. The first thing is the narrative starts to shift. People start to recognize it's all about the assets in the room or our networks in the room. How do we connect those assets and create new opportunity with the assets we have in the room? So the narrative starts to shift. And you see this starting to shift all over the country now because people are starting to say, well, Washington's not going to save us. The state capital's not going to save us. We got to figure out how we'll... So the narrative shifts. The first, and the network awareness starts to form. The connectivity, the network awareness. The third element, which is where you are right now, is you understand that you have a strategy discipline that you can follow. We can guide these networks and set measurable outcomes and learn by doing that what works. Pilot projects are the first step toward testing the collaborations. Disciplines conversations by using what we call strategic doing packs. Essentially walks people through answering these 4 questions. It sounds very simple, but it is not easy. So the strategic doing pack helps people keep focused on the 4 questions that we have to answer if we're going to generate a strategy. And as we generate that strategy with these 4 questions, we generate a strategic action plan. We have all the components we need for a strategic action plan. And so in this world of networks, the idea of vision has been displaced somewhat by the idea of coherence. We need coherence. Vision is important as a starting point, but we need to move that vision into practical application in order to get to the pragmatists in the middle. As we manage these 3 flows of money, we're managing collaborative investments, joint investments. And we're managing those in 5 areas. First is brain power. We have to convert this brain power into wealth through innovation and entrepreneurship. Through existing companies and new companies, we have to convert these new ideas into wealth. We need quality connected places. Why? Because smart people and smart companies want them. They're mobile. They will not be in a dump. They won't be in a dump. The next is we need new narratives. No young person is going to latch on to a region where the narrative is negative. Not going to happen. If you have a dislocation, like the NASA dislocation on the Space Coast, or Kokomo that has ground zero of the Chrysler meltdown, the best advice I can give you is get over it. Get over it. Move on as fast as you can, because everybody's got these dislocations, and your ability to adapt is really what's critical here. Finally, we need new civic habits of collaboration. Now, by collaboration, I do not mean I have Rod's email. We collaborate. I know I got his email. Yeah, we collaborate. No, what I mean is that we work together on a collaboration, and we trust each other enough to maybe give each other our wallets. I mean, I'm talking about levels of trust. That's what I mean by collaboration. Because why? We need to be able to get out to the innovation framing. And that requires a relatively high level of trust. Opportunities come from taking those established clusters and looking at the edges and seeing where, and this is why the matrix that you have is so important, because it's at the edges that the real opportunities are emerging, right?